I mean, I don't think it's any surprise for you, at least. I absolutely adore this film.
So tell me about what struck you about passages that, for somebody who doesn't know Ira Sachs's work, might resonate.
It is, like he mentioned in that interview, something that we're kind of lacking in cinema. It is an adult-focused drama, very well written, beautifully performed, really stylishly directed. It's not something I've noticed kind of, a lot of reviews mention, is the fact that it is gorgeous to look at. It's very deliberately chosen. The colors, the framing, the costuming, the details in the background, these lives that they live of bourgeois artists almost in Paris. It's incredibly cinematic. It's drinking from the well of, French cinema and American independent cinema, of there being sort of a distance between characters in real life, but at the same time, these characters' experiences are talking to really fundamental truths about the human experience, which sounds very hoity-toity, but if you really want to boil it down, it is about the emotional entanglement of three people. And, Thomas, the really narcissistic filmmaker played by Franz Rogowski, his husband, Martin, played by Ben Whishaw, and this third player into the situation, Agathe, who's a school teacher played by Adele Exarchopoulos. I hope I'm doing that justice. But Tomas is essentially this flame, he's incredibly frivolous, completely self-absorbed, and so utterly demonically charismatic that he keeps seeding chaos everywhere where he goes.
This is something that you kind of saw in him.
Well, my entire chaotic personality this morning as we record is inspired by passages. Yes. I watched the film when it was screening at the Sundance Film Festival, and I rewatched it last night to kind of luxuriate in it again. And it struck me even more in a second watch because, and you picked this up in your interview with Ira, it is one of the most fascinating examples of a film about the fluidity of human sexuality. Like you mentioned, the characters are not, identified as gay, bi, or anything like that. It is all about intimacy, about emotions, about what the body wants in a particular moment, and the complications of that, the side effects that has on an emotional relationship, a marriage, a partnership. And it also has to do with this kind of volatile, charismatic personality that is Tomas. He's like a black hole and a star all at the same time. He draws you in, and when you're with him, he is everything. And his attention is so seductive and addictive. And the film is about these two characters, Martin and Agathe, being pulled into him and slowly realizing that that's not good for them, that they are losing themselves in his pool. But because the film stays with Tomas, and he is, such a strongly performed and drawn character. He's pathetic and alluring all at the same time. And the camera loves him. And that's Franz Rogowski. The film really, as much as it's a love triangle, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Really hangs on him and his performance.
But we talked about this. We messaged, and I asked you, do you think that an audience member needs to feel that pull towards either Thomas or Franz as an actor? Do you think there needs to be an element of attraction for this film to work? Because for me, there was nothing. As soon as I see him as a bully from the beginning, like these opening scenes, that very much put me at arm's length. I was into the story, but I was no way kind of relating to it. I didn't find him attractive in any way as soon as I saw that. But, it was really like shutters down. Whereas I think for you, it was a different experience. And I wonder if that changed the way that we accessed the emotional side.
I think that's an interesting point, and it might shut people down. I personally I'm always drawn to stories about artists, about creative people, and the volatility of creative people as well. I think that's incredibly cinematic. It's really, I might not like those people in real life, but I love seeing them on screen because it's drama, it's art, it's sex and desire and pleasure. And I think Tomas is someone who is really ping-ponging between his desires and his seeking out pleasure and we don't really see him work that much, and that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
We know he's a filmmaker.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, but he does have that temperament. We see just a tiny bit of it, but the rest of it is spent in between the film being made. But I think the performance is so strong. Whether you are, attracted to the actor portraying Tomas, I think that's relatively irrelevant because you can see why his charisma has the power and the allure that it does over the characters in the story.
We have a really good email, actually. This is from Bart in Amsterdam, who said, Dear Anna and Rihanna, God, saying Anna and Rihanna is quite hard. Passages was released last week in Amsterdam, and when I saw it, I was struck by the film's unabashed portrayal of a destructive narcissist without ever trying to explain or redeem him. This makes Passages a fascinating companion piece to Tar. Both films are about an artist who leave behind a pattern of abusive relationships. However, Todd Field's film makes it very clear that the title character is also a great artist and asks the question whether her mistreatment and manipulations of people is somehow the price or byproduct of great talent. Great talent, incidentally, is often used as an excuse for the bad behaviour of some famous artists, which I think is such an important point to raise. Passages, however, leaves the audience guessing on whether Tomas is a good film director or not. The film does have a side character who is a talented writer and who is kind, responsible and self-effacing. This way, Ira Sachs makes a raw statement. It doesn't matter how talented Tomas is, he's still a destructive narcissist. This, plus the film's less obtrusive style, makes Passages the better and bolder movie. Interesting compared to Tar. I really like this
take. Yeah, I think they're both really interesting explorations of power and the power of narcissists. I know it's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but I do think that they're both, as the emailer is saying, really well-drawn, complicated, really unjudgmental and unmoralizing portraits of narcissistic personalities. The appeal of them and the dangerous toxicity of them as well. And it might be interesting for listeners. It instantly made me think of Zadie Smith's essay on Tar, which is one of the best essays on any film that I've ever read. And there's other book called Monsters, which really talks about what you were alluding to about can great talent justify a bad personality?
Yes, often. Not really. Thank you so much, Bart in Amsterdam.
Except in my case.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. While you're here, check out all the other videos because they're cool too, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with everything Kermode and Mayo's Take, then check out our social channels.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I would.
There you
I
go.
have done.
Excellent.